Lock in. All right.
Okay.
Is a flex pick. You can run it top. You can run it mid lane. Curious whether or not No Way's feeling confident on something like the Aurelia. I mean, we saw him on the Xerath, which is a bit more, well, is a control mage, and he was pretty good with those skill shots, but you know, see the Poppy get locked in for the win, so they think that's going to be the Aurelia top.
Yeah, I mean, if they can deal with that, first of all, it's good in lane, but secondly, later on, really nice for shutting down Aurelia in the middle of a team fight, stop her from just jumping around and really beating you up.
So there's that Alistair lock-in. It's for Plasma Lemon, so we don't get any like weird picks for him, but he does take a very strong meta support.
I mean, we've seen it picked up so many times. I'm surprised it made it into the second phase of the picks and bans, but...
Well, I mean, it was still technically the first picks here for the win.
Yeah.
What I'd also like to note is that Varus Braum is up if Euronics want to go more standard on their side as well.
And that was going to be my question, was what do the For the Win draft in that third slot of this first pick phase?
Ooh.
Because you can either go for, there it is.
Demolish 6.
Yeah, you can either go for
Double demolish.
the ADC in this position like that Varus, but you're also leaving Ray Tivo in a bit of an awkward position if they do start to ban out junglers. We've touched on already though, I'm loving this Ziggs pick, definitely for No Way in that mid lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely a no-way pick. It's going to be like that other type of thing like the Xerath can do. It's just all about that stall in the mid lane, being able to knock down towers. And that means the Aurelia is going top.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do say that, but I was actually leaning towards... Ryuki has brought out the Xerath bot before. So you could technically go double mage here and Aurelia be your AD source if you go for a tankier jungler.
Well, he talked about Relativo getting his hands on either the Rek'Sai or the Zac. Looks like they're hovering that pick, maybe thinking about locking that in for him. Lots of engage already for the side of For the Win if they do go for that, and they do. So already, For the Win have just locked in so much hard engage.
But it's also really strong front line. You need consistent damage to back this up, and you're now entering ban phase 2. Kai'Sa's already removed, which is one of the big things. I'd like to see Varus and the like removed from Euronics here.
This is the key, because if you don't get that strong damage to start cutting through shields, instantly Panda on this Tahm Kench is going to be able to deny the engagement, deny the kills, and all of a sudden, it doesn't really matter how far deep you can go in, you're not going to get that damage off anyways.
I wonder if we see a Tristana ban as well. Because Varus and Tristana and Kai'Sa have basically been the three top-tier AD picks we've seen throughout this entire tournament. So maybe Euronics just want to try to force everyone down a peg on the ADs and see what they can go from there.
Well, you could just see them go with the Lucian. I mean, that's what they brought out yesterday. Last Wolf looked very strong on it. And particularly if you can get Riativo coming in with these odd gank routes, as the Zac is famous for, I think you could pick up some wins in that bottom lane position.
And what they've done is, instead of going for the AD carries, they've decided to remove some of the consistent damage that Shaki might go for in the mid lane with that Rise. Again, the Cassiopeia wouldn't be a bad ban here either.
Well, this ban phase has been definitely a lot more thought out by both of these teams. As see the Xerath get taken away from No
They're
Way.
not convinced on the mid Ziggs.
No Way and Ryuki too, who has brought it out.
Yeah. I mean, after seeing No Way's performance on it, that's the one I would be scared of, but Brookie is capable of playing it as well. As one more ban remains for Euronics. What are they going to take away? 10 seconds on that clock.
The big thing for the Win as well right now is that, as you were saying, they need that consistent damage source. My biggest worry is with this Ziggs pick. We saw it for Pinoy, who was looking at Bananito. If you do start to just lob that Inferno Bomb, take out someone very fast, or at least get them out of the fight, well, you don't really have much of a follow-up then, because you're relying on this Zac and this Poppy now to dish out damage that they're not designed for. I think with the composition that Euronics have right now, if they can just blast someone out of a fight incredibly quickly, they can then just take the fight off of raw aggression after that.
I expect to see the Varus be the pickup here for the winners. Tristana and the Kai'Sa have been taken off, but maybe they go for something a bit different and pick out the Xayah.
Again, that's even more CC to follow up on the hard engage you have. You just you'll have plenty of time with the amount of CC there to land some feathers, and then you can just drag them all back in with the Blade Collar.
How does Tahm Kench even get out there? That's what my big question is.
Every time we think
You are going to be excited.
All right, this is Tyke's main,
Yes.
so Tyke, you take this away.
Yeah, I mean, I know Shyvana pretty well. Great matchup into Zac. Can destroy a lot of these tanks. And we talked about how this is all about their front line. Shyvana shreds that entirely.
That's absolutely nuts.
That is going to be a very exciting jungler.
So it's his Ziggs bot. It is Ziggs bot now, and we're going to have the Corki in the mid, so very standard for No Way. Ooh, that's Shyvana though.
I mean, we'll get to talk about that in a minute. Let's have a look at the last pick here for the win. as they are looking to get themselves a mid laner.
That's a boring mid lane matchup now. You got Corki,
my big
Orianna.
issue-
Screw that. We're going to have jungle matches.
If they lock in Orianna, we can just see exactly what Pinoy did. Blast out this Xayah, she's not going to be able to do very much, or she's got to use that Feather Storm defensively to avoid that Mega Inferno Bomb, and she's not able to get into these fights regardless. So this is already a lot onto Last Wolf, and I feel with when you've got a Corki who can send in those rockets, and you've got that Ziggs who can poke from afar, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Last Wolf to enter these fights.
Yeah, that's the key here. I feel like For the Win are going to try and play for late game engage where they can try and force out like 5v5s, but as you pointed out, that's going to be so difficult because of how well Euronics can kite out with their composition. If they can get a ball delivered though on that Zac, that could change it.
How do you beat the split push as well?
I mean, yeah, these are going to be the questions. I want to have a little talk to you, Tiger, about the Shyvana. I know this is your favorite. What are we expecting to see early out of the Shyvana? Is it going to be a bit of a farm fest, or is it going to be more going for the aggression into the jungle and looking to pick up? Or is it ganks?
I would rather see aggression. You can play it similar to the way we've seen Graves played at European Masters. You can farm very heavily, but you can also run into the enemy jungler if you meet them there, especially because it's Zac. It's so easy for you to get that 1v1. It's exactly like we saw when Skarner was picked into Zac before. You can play very far forward, and with Corki Orianna, you can try to get that Corki pushing, and he can come help you out.
Same with the Ziggs in the bot lane as well. They've pretty much drafted to enable this Shyvana because every lane here should be pushing, including that Aurelia in the top lane.
And I think one of the things we saw on Aguirre yesterday was the Kha'Zix, where he'd just jump into the fight and die. This time you get a bit extra stats when you Dragon's Descent, I believe it's called. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen a Shyvana.
I can tell you for certain it is Dragon's
Descent. Jake's got himself a bit of burnout.
Oh man, that was weak. Shyvana was my first ever champion in League of Legends.
You don't remember her ult? Shame.
I mean, it's been a long time. When I say first champion I ever played, I mean, like, that was pretty much where it ended with me and Shyvana, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
From your casting, you would have guessed this like 3 weeks ago.
Woo! All right,
Flame
mate.
doesn't stop.
let's lay off the heat here, and let's talk about other things in the matchup. There we go. I can make bad jokes too. What else are we looking at? Because obviously we expect the push coming through from the side of Euronics. What is going to be the response?
I would love to see them try to punish this Aurelia top. There's a reason Aurelia mid is more common. You get better matchups there. Poppy specifically is great into the Aurelia, at least early on, because you can just deny her with a steadfast presence, deny a lot of the mobility that Aurelia might want to use to escape. I would like to see some pressure put up there to get that Poppy rolling, because it's a very hard matchup for Aurelia to come back in, and certainly not a comfortable one for farming.
Well, I want to have a little run down the lineups here and see who thinks what's going to be going down. So, Ghost, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think's got this game in the bag?
I'm going to give it to Euronics just based on Noe's performance yesterday. I think he's been incredibly good. If he's got his hands on a Corki and that mid-game power spike, I think it's going to enable him to help out the team a lot more.
I mean, I'm not siding against Shyvana. I'm with Euronics. I mean, it's not just the Shyvana, though. It's the way they're playing this, the strategy. I like what it is specifically into what they knew For the Win would draft.
Well, Pirate, you might have to let us know a little bit later because we are ready to go through into our game. So, Pyrotechnist and Celtic Tiger, take it away.
Thank you very much, HitBrain. For the record, I think Euronics are also going to win because the way in which they lost to Gamers Origin I felt was very 50-50, very coin flip. No way was the big superstar. I've got my eye on him again, but I'm also keeping track on that Shyvana, as I know you will be, Tyke.
Yes, and it's early on that I want to see Aguirre putting down this pressure, because generally a lot of people will think Shyvana, she's this big scaling champion, but when you've drafted such heavy frontline, when you've drafted tanks, that's free reign for this Shyvana to just rain terror on the map.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ride for the Win. You start off your debut into the European Masters. You lose to Turing Esports, the Baltics representatives. Nothing against them. They played fantastic. I loved the Tryndamere pick. However, you now have Euronics, top seed, coming out of the Premier Tour, and you also have to face off against Gamers Origin from the Open Tour.
And what I love is every time For the Win are just like, okay, we've practiced the meta, we are ready for this. They come out with, we're going to play Tryndamere Shyvana into you, by the way.
Here's the thing, though, like, For the Win are supposed to be, when we did our research, they were supposed to be the ones that were pulling out some of the stranger picks. We talked about how Plasma Lemon was known famously playing that support Heimerdinger, and he was like this young genius like that had come up with some amazing different strategies. And they even flashed it against him. Euronics clearly like, nah, we know exactly what you want to do, and we're just, we got this, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think they could have considered that for mid lane as well, if they were looking for
I
hard
actually
push.
thought it might have been a legitimate hover, yeah, as well.
I don't think it's completely illegitimate, but it's time to go more standard with the Corki. No way, great player, will now show up in something a little more in meta with this Corki.
And I hope that Aguirre, obviously, like, it's something they've clearly prepared for, and you could see a couple of other more aggressive junglers like the Nocturne banned away this time. I want to see what he does, because The Kazakhs absolutely did nothing beyond smite the Baron in the last game for Euronics. I felt like Aguirre, I mean, it sounds really harsh, but I felt like he might as well have not been in that game for all the use he actually had. The Shyvana is a very different kind of pick. I want to see him step up, and I want to see him getting involved very early.
And yeah, and the big thing for me, the reason you want to get this involved early is because you specifically drafted into Zach, who's known for really struggling pre-6 to deal with much. And you have this Shyvana, great singular dueling matchup into the Zach. You should be punishing him using that.
We'll see if Reativo does get shut down. It's interesting that For the Win actually did a swippy swap back, too, because they started with Koldo, who was the new jungler they picked up from Mad Lions Academy, if I recall correctly, and now going back to Reativo. I mean, we were even debated on the lineup graphic.
Absolutely. I think it makes sense. I think it didn't work out with Koldo. That was a much more meta style, and I think they've realized that maybe that just doesn't work out in European Masters. You've got to be prepared for anything here, and Euronics have done so again.
You've only got a couple of games to play as well, right? Like, that's the key thing here about group stages. You have best of ones, you play everybody in your group ones. You really can't afford to drop games. They've already lost against Turing, who, you know, you might have said on paper would be the most winnable opponent, and now you got to go up against Euronics. It's a little bit tough here for the Portuguese side.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. Now it's For the Win. We talked about the aggression that Reativo brings out. He's now finding himself in the bot lane.
Level 3 gang instantly on to Brookie and Pandar. They have a lot of damage early on, but there's that swallow from the Tahm Kench, even though he gets rooted down. And Euronics bottom lane survive.
Yeah, no summoners blown either. And here's the response from Aguirre, just picking up. Simple camp for him. It's a nice camp to be able to pick up, considering this Raptors is the best camp for Zach to take. He can do it very quickly, heals up quite a bit. Aguirre just going to remove that from him, and you can see Aguirre's actually having a little bit of trouble because Shaki's actually pushing no way in, so he's a bit more tentative than you might have expected this Shyvana to be early on.
Yeah, I think Shaki's just happy to have a matchup that isn't insane. It's Corki Oriana, like, I know exactly how this matchup works. None of that Tryndamere BS.
I think that's fair. And Shaki's having a decent amount of time in it. No Way's also doing fine. It's a farm matchup for now, but I am very much watching how they play around the junglers, because for now, either junglers have run into each other, which somewhat plays into Reativo's hands here.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty happy. He did get a level 1 off, or a level 3 off, I should say. Didn't burn any summoners. I think that's the key, though. Like, when you're trying to go early aggressive on a Zach, I feel like you need to get something for your troubles, because you're already going to struggle a little bit with the early farm game. So let's see where he decides to take his attention next. I think even top lane is a gankable lane.
Yeah, and I think post first back as well. I'd like to see Shyvana, you know, pick up that little bit more damage, start showing up in the lanes more. And I'm interested in which Shyvana build Aguirre goes for. Do you go for the one where you end up with the attack speed early on, or do you lean towards the one that was played in LCK a little while back, the old Cinder Hulk Triforce Shyvana?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on what that actually ends up being. In this early game, though, it has been a fairly quiet one outside of the gank attempt. No Way actually goes into the river, throws down that ward.
Instantly answered. It is the attack speed Shyvana. I prefer this. I think Cinder Hulk Triforce was... It was decent a while back. Technically, you can lean towards the Triforce now, but I'd rather see him just go for the classic attack speed item for the Shyvana, and then maybe the Frozen Mallet as well for the split push.
You can stick to people, right? This is the strength of Shyvana. Like, you can basically just run at people, even if you don't have dragons sent up and available, and you know that you're going to be able to stick to them and just deal out damage kind of Mundo style.
I mean, there's a reason she's one of my favorite champions. I can just sit in a game of League of Legends and go, look, I spend a lot of my work days thinking about League of Legends. I'd like to not have to while I play it.
That's totally fair. I believe that's what they in solo queue refer to as high skill champ.
Absolutely. I mean, Garen is my off roll, so don't worry about that.
Nice champ, by the way. Looks like Brookie does get jumped onto. That's the thing about manaless champions as well. Rage is obviously a different mechanic entirely because he goes up, not down.
I think she runs Fury as opposed to Rage.
Fury, excuse me.
They're basically synonyms.
You know what? I'm gonna call out. And it's a dangerous game. I'm gonna call out Riot on this one, guys. Just pick one. Oh, it's my dad.
Yeah, Venter went for that. Reativo waits patiently, picks up the smite. Again, this isn't fine enough for Euronics. They scale actually incredibly well. Whereas For the Win, while they have decent scaling with their comp, their front line is actually under danger from Euronics' damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point too, but if For the Win can secure a fight, like this is the thing that I'm keeping an eye out for. If they can secure like a straight up 5v5, those are the terms that they want, because they'd be so happy with the fact that they have probably the best 2 champions for ball delivery in the game, maybe barring Nocturne. You get that leap in, you land a multi-bazillion elo shockwave, and all of a sudden you've pretty much got it made. The issue is, look at Euronics comp. These guys all have mobility.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Euronics start using some of the priority they have in the lanes right now, where we want to see the Ziggs pushing up, especially post-burst back. If you can get that off, get your lost chapter, I'd like to see them use that and then allow a Griffin to run into the jungle. Yes, it's post-6 Zach, but he still can't fight a Shyvana.
Yeah, that's the rough thing for sure.
I'd also like to talk about, I did say that Frozen should have a good time against Aurelia early, but now it's actually going to be the gank first.
Oh, there we go. In onto the top side, and that's going to be the big knockup. Venter is going to be first-blooded, taken by Reativo.
I guess they decided to prove me right before I said that it was actually going slightly differently. Venter had done a great job of farming up in that matchup, but Reativo does punish, and first blood over to Zach, though, which isn't the biggest worry for Euronics.
Yeah, showcasing, though, the engage that Poppy can bring when you use that hammer to just get the knock up instead of the knock around. Meanwhile, Reativo goes in onto No Way. Who's stuck on top of him, but Guerin is incoming, got level 6, flashes forward.
Oh, good.
And he pops Reativo into goo. Looks like she should be able to finish that one off pretty easy. Shockwave gonna pull in too. Little bit optimistic from Zaki. Shacky's gonna
Where's
be
the
running
fireball?
his life there. Guerin not gonna go for
Fireball
the
Fireball will almost kill Shaki here. A lot of people underestimate how much damage it does in Dragon form. The Nullifying Orb actually gets rid of most of that damage as well, on top of the fact he's already healing up with that Corrupting Pot.
Felt like No Way wasn't entirely certain if they wanted to try and finish that one off, so Guerin does actually back off. Either way, 1-for-1 trade across the map at 8 minutes into this game. Still a gold lead for Euronics, very slight.
Okay, so we have the Shyvana, has picked up her Dragon as well. As you'd expect, that extra damage on Dragon helps out. So far, a little slower than you might have liked originally for the win, but now, or from Euronics, I should say. Now you're seeing them start to punish, though.
Yeah, slow push in. Euronics Gaming had a very back and forth against Gamers Origin. We talked a lot about how, you know, it's kind of some duress here for the win and for the Portuguese region because they don't want to go out without picking up a win. They have a couple of tough games ahead of them. But how about Euronics? It's all about redemption. They need to get some wins on the board because they were the #1 seed that completely disappointed Germany, Austria, and Switzerland here at the last European Masters.
Okay, you have to be careful here if you're a Griffin. For the win is all here, but so is the rest of your team. You have package available for Euronics.
Shacky's coming. He doesn't have the Shockwave, though. That's the key thing right now, so he can only zone with the ball, and looks like the Smite down for Guerin is able to steal away blue buff.
That's good. Again, it's not going to hurt Zach. It's going to hurt Shacky here in the mid lane, who wanted to be able to pick that up on the Orianna, but pressure coming out from Euronics. This is why we talk about the importance of being able to push up. It means that they can play like that and have a more comfortable time on this Shyvana. And just the comp as a whole. Ziggs is going to be able to push up again. And you see, you wanted Zach to be able to play around there to kind of keep Briuki under pressure. But instead, Pandar and Briuki can be able to push up effectively freely.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a great time here. Like, this is just, you're loving life right now if you're Briuki and Pandar because you haven't really been under pressure since the level 3 gank. The top lane, it's a different story, though. Venter gets another visit from Reativo, but it's not going to result in anything this time.
Yeah, and for now, again, it's a slow game. This could really go either way. However, it's Euronics with the gold lead from farm alone. It's actually a 1k lead from farm. And Griffin doing what you should be in Shyvana. If you can invade, at least pick up the objectives that your team's pressuring for you.
Yep. Might just be able to solo out the rest of it. You can see No Way hanging towards the top side of that mid lane as well. But it's just making sure there's no vision out there as he tries to keep this wave pushed. It's actually quite a significant farm advantage in both top and the mid lane.
Now, the mid lane's starting to open up a bit, but you also have Reativo there to help even that out now.
The hot Shockwave, oh, he's going to Valk away from it just in time.
Freeze frame of the Rift Herald being taken as well. Shyvana picks that up, and now it is for the win. Attempting pressure in this Corki. Tamkench might be able to save, though.
Oh, No Way was in enemy territory. Pandar came through, but in comes Reativo. Get the stick on and making him kiss. It looks like that's going to be a kill picked up with a bounce back. Reativo takes down No Way for you, and the Tamkench is not so lucky either. Pandar's going to die. It's just a measure of who gets the kill.
Give it over to Last Wolf as well. Well played by For the Win to collapse on that. I think the mistake there as well from Euronics. Pandar probably shouldn't have gone up, would have effectively sacrificing himself, but I don't think they had the vision knowing how quick the response was coming in from For the Win.
Yeah, it looks like there's a response up top as well. Venter looking for Frozen. Has the Keeper's Verdict, and of course a level advantage as well. Very aggressive play by the Aurelia.
Yeah, you can see Venter's moving forward, trying to bait out the Steadfast Presence, and once that goes down, that's a long cooldown for which Aurelia can just use to run over you, because Aurelia, decent matchups into a lot of tanks. Yeah.
Question now in my mind is where do they opt to use, Euronics I mean, where do they opt to use this Rift Herald that Guerin picked up? Mid lane is a possibility, but Jackie has been more than capable of clearing waves.
I mean, if you join up with the Ziggs, that'll be a very quick take of any tower, and you want to just accelerate first tower blood. Ideally, though, you get it without having to use the Herald and then can save it for another tower.
That's
And now,
the plan. There's the knock-up of Guerin once more. Here comes Rhea Tivo. There's a lot of damage on that tower, though, and Brokey's still there. There's the hop-in from Rhea Tivo. Flash out from Pandar, and the Dragon's Descent for the retreat. They will back away for now.
No Way is here as well. It's a 4v4, but the Dragon's Descent has come down. Euronics, with the Buren so low as well, probably not looking to fight this if it's avoidable. They wanted to just be able to push up to take the tower. They do force For the Wind to respond for them, but For the Wind's response means they can't get the first tower.
Yeah, a lot of vision secured here by Euronics in this bottom river. Like, you just take a look all the way up and down it, and just trying to make sure that there won't be any more counter roams. But the one thing you got to keep in mind is that Zach can jump you from just about anywhere.
Yeah, and also you have that Storm Razor finished up on Last Wolf as well, starting to pump out enough damage, so when Euronics get caught out by the likes of Alistair, it'll be difficult for them to actually deal with it.
Flipped on its head, though, a little bit. You also have to look to the mid lane where No Way has completed his Trinity Force, so looks like they want to maybe combo up here on Jackie. There's the defense, and he just keeps on running through. The dissonance is on. Guerin decides he can't quite go any further forward.
Didn't quite have the Dragon's Descent back up. The Fury had not been picked up in time. And Guerin will have Dragon's Descent relatively soon, though, so he's going to try pressure Rhea Tivo here.
That's a 2-level advantage on the jungle right now. It looks like he's going all in on this one. There's the hop and
Dragon's
combo with
Descent.
Plasma Lemon. Guerin already in dragon form, and now the Tahm Kench coming through. Pandar, a little bit too late. This might just result in the dragon, or nothing.
I feel like it should have resulted in the dragon, but they decide to play it safe and run away. They're actually going to try to turn this into mid lane, use the fact that they know people are forced to back off at this point. If the re-engage comes in here, it is very dangerous for the win. There's a lot of low health bars on their side.
I can't believe you'd be so insensitive, Tyg. Shyvana doesn't want to kill the dragon. That might be your cousin.
I mean, I can't believe you'd assume that they're related.
Yeah.
All dragons are related? Why would you say that?
Flip that around on me. Okay, so clearly they're not, because Guerin just soloed the Ocean Drake. I mean, maybe the Infernal Drake. They might be related. They both breathe fire.
Oh, because they look the same?
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn it. Okay, I'm not winning this. Drag aside.
Yeah.
All right, so Pandar and Brokey are going to be able to solo, or duo push down the bottom. Plasma Lemon there to answer. So the result of kind of all that investment by Euronics is really that they just kind of get a dragon in mid tower.
However, it is a little bit more than that. Look at the way their vision is around that bottom river. They've also picked up 2 dragons, great for the Shyvana, but also it allows them to play further around the pressure they've gotten bought. It means they've capitalized on the pressure there and the fact they have this aggressive jungle pick.
That's very true. A lot of vision even starting to creep into the For the Win jungle here. So a lot of information available to the Euronics side. Now they can start to transition out of the laning phase, and it looks like bottom lane is next on the menu. In comes No Way, and out goes Last Wolf and Plasma Lemon. So this is going to fall pretty easily to the Satchel Charge.
Yeah, you had the package there in No Way, so you have to respect that from For the Win. I like the way they're using that. Every time No Way has the package, he's hovering around bot lane, forcing For the Win back. For the Win have had good responses. They've been able to play around that. Specifically, do want to shout out Rhea Tivo, having a much better showing than Koldo did in their first game, but it mightn't be enough for this side as Euronics still consistently eking out gold leads.
That's very true. Creeping their way up in the CS differential. Not a whole lot of kills in this game, though. They had just a couple on For the Win as they were able to find out Pandar and No Way earlier on in their own jungle. And apart from that, they haven't really been able to secure much. The Portuguese side slowly falling behind in the gold game. Now Guerin is on to Frozen here. There's a little extra damage. Is that Keeper's Verdict going to come down? Not going to need it. He walks away.
But you can see Guerin's already moving towards that Frozen Mallet. Those kind of trades will be much more dangerous for the win once that comes down. It'll be harder to get rid of this Shyvana.
Here's a cool take on the lane swap that comes after the laning phase. Brokey, because he's solo on the Ziggs, can be here by himself. Actually, you see Guerin actually coming to join as well, but that means that the Tahm Kench can join up with Ventera on the bottom and maybe try and defend against this.
I don't think they're going to be able to, though, because Rhea Tivo is there as well. What this does allow for them, though, is to continue the push faster in the top wave, because Shyvana, much like Trundle, is a great champion for helping out with those pushes from the jungle rope.
Right, lots and lots of auto attacks. You have that double on the Twin Bite for sure. So let's see if Frozen wants to try and take the fight to him. There's the burnout on the Shyvana, tanking a couple of power shots on the back half of it.
You can see the press the attack, the percentage damage increase, really helping Ziggs poke out Frozen as well. And here's Jackie with the combo, though.
The pull out is going to be swallow up by Pandar.
Don't go that way.
Going to stay alive. He almost wanted to go back in. For 1 second, I thought the extra damage between Jackie's ultimate was actually going to be enough to kill the Shyvana. Guerin's got to be counting his lucky stars on that one.
Yeah, it's got to be damn close. And I was getting flashes of Aguirre's Kazakhs there, going in where he didn't mean to, but now Ryuki in danger. Plasma Lemon.
He's in danger as well, although he's a big tanky cow. That's fine. Gets the stun off, and there is one more.
Here's the rest for the win.
Pandar and Brookie running for their lives at this point. I think you might need that satchel charge. Gets smited down.
Oh, good dodge.
Step nicely done by Brookie here. I think the support is not going to be so lucky. Pandar going to give his life for his carry. Never mind.
No.
He gets himself out with the Abyssal Voyage. Are you kidding me?
That could be stopped by damage as well, but Euronics, they're willing to capitalize. They've got 3 people in the mid lane, and For the Win are not in position to respond just yet.
That was just so sexy. That play, the fact that they get everybody out and then still get some damage on the mid, but will they be lucky this time around? No Way does get knocked in, maybe overstaying their welcome. Here goes the Vanguard's Edge, and Plasma Lemon helping out. Riativo taking Aguirre, and on the final shot, Venter limping away once more to the wrong side of the base, and No Way going to the right side, but it's Shaki who takes down Venter, and finally they will find a few more kills. That is 3-4-0 for
Ryuki should be able to pick up one here onto the Zac, but no, the TP comes in, saves Riativo.
He's going to stay alive, walk it out nonetheless. This has been absolute madness the last minute.
And the Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, just clearing the wave. They don't want to try look for kills. I can see him kind of angling for that. Ryuki decides to go for the safer option, trying to save his base. Or say his base, his tower here.
That was a great reaction from For the Win. Collapsing on the mid, a little bit of an overstay from Euronics Gaming means that they lose 3. They can't pick up Riativo because of that clutch teleport play. I love it. And by the way, that is one of those things you can do if you have a couple of different teleports in the game. We hadn't talked about it last Wolf. He played with the teleport, didn't need it this time because it was frozen. And here's the collapse.
Yeah, you see it was the full engage here, and you see Venter attempts to combo, but look how quickly they burst out of gear, and he's not able to get the Dragon's Descent off. And then it's Euronics completely on the back foot with the combo from For the Win. Just the numbers advantage here.
Yeah, pretty much. That was all they had for it. No way, nowhere for him to go.
And I thought it was going to be the cleanup here for Ryuki, but he ends up getting the TP, and he pushed himself away towards Plasma Lemon as well. So an unfortunate combo for him, and good responses from For the Win to punish Euronics for now.
Yeah, so the dust has settled a little bit. Euronics actually still holding on to that gold lead. You don't usually see this when it's 1-6 in kills, but it's because it's 4-1 in towers. Euronics Gaming are playing the objective game.
Which again, we talked about the fact they should be able to push. I think this is smart. This is the way Euronics' comp should work. They have to be careful though. They're allowing For the Win the openings to get back into this, to use that Xayah and just the hard engage that this comp offers.
That's very true. 2 items completed. You have the Storm Razor as well as...
This is the quick response from Euronics. They're trying to force something towards the bot side.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, are they really going to push for this one? It's not really happening.
It is the Dragon, though, that's up, and that's where their real focus is. This time it's only an Ocean Drake, so they've had a little bit of an unlucky Dragon RNG, considering they have that Shyvana.
But they do have the ability to continually take fights, because they'll just regen a little bit more. If they can take those, and Riativo tries to get the pull of the back end, that's going to be a lot of damage on the Dragon's Descent, but Aguirre takes
look at the carries, though, For the Win.
Out goes Venter off the backside, and there is going to be No Way looking for Last Wolf, going forward, getting the final shot. Shaki can't walk anywhere, and he can't even complete on the shockwave. So now Euronics find the fight, and they're looking for mid lane.
And yeah, that's exactly what they needed to do. They just ignored the front line, moved past it, and Euronics were just able to chunk them out. Now they have the push going.
Yeah, they chunked those towers.
Plasma Lemon!
Coming! Oh, Plasma Lemon is going to get squashed, and now the rest of Euronics on unopposed to this tower. There's a shutdown on the Zac, and Aguirre is coming up huge. The rest of Euronics soon to follow as well. Still some death timers remaining, but this will surely be inhibitor.
Yeah, and such hard push from this comp. We talked about this. They have a lot of damage on top of the fact you've Ziggs. They're able to so quickly turn that team fight into a tower, and now they could be eyeing up the Baron.
I think they absolutely are right now. There's still 15 seconds on Riativo, and you don't have a blast gun to work with, but you can just walk right over that wall.
Yeah, and they have no vision here. For the Win will be forced to walk up if they want to try contest this at all, and they could just turn. Euronics could kill them.
Yeah, Jackie's just going to have to hope for that massive shockwave right now, but the Baron is already down to half health. Look at how fast Euronics can take it at 21 minutes on the clock. No smite steal available. It's getting low, going to get smited down, and the rest of For the Win walk away. For just a second, I thought Shaki might try to go for the shockwave steal. Didn't happen.
Okay, so you see, they tried to combo Ryuki here, but Pandar saves them, and now you've got the Dragon's Descent on your front line, so Shaki and Last Wolf are forced away by a Mega Inferno Bomb. No Way is then flanked, avoided the front line entirely, and could just fight Last Wolf and Shaki, who are already chunked by the original engage.
and no shockwave completing means that you don't really have any more low health bars to deal with, and then...
But if you watch this,
unfortunately,
Plasma Lemon gets chunked out, and on top of that, Riativo's backing in his own jungle. In fact, cancels his back, tries to play forward into Aguirre. I have no idea why. They have no vision there, thinks he can get away that way, and ends up just running his face into a dragon.
I had no passive either. I don't know what the hell he was thinking for sure. And now for Euronics, they're starting to look real scary. You'll take a look at that Shyvana build as well. You have the Frozen Mallet, which haven't completed after that last fight, so that's going to be even harder for people to stick on him.
Aguirre has to respect what's coming out here, and now it's the engage onto Pandar. Pandar should be chucked out.
Easy peasy, they do knock him down.
But last
huge chunk from Broky. Gets a lot of damage there due to that Mega Inferno Bomb. Aguirre looking to go forward on the Dragon's Descent. Instead, they turn their attention over to Riativo. There's a lot of damage.
Good stun.
Does get the knockback, forcing Riativo to get the flash on, and instantly in goes Ventair to the
Look at the backline again.
Meanwhile, No Way comes out of nowhere, and they're going to be able to clean house on this one.
And they could just push to end this. There are 4 people still alive. We talked about their objective damage. Shaki is forced out of this one. He'll be back up, but I'm not sure it's going to matter.
I think Shaki's forced out of this game at this point. You got nothing left to do and just try to wave goodbye to the last towers you have in that mid. It looks like the Shockwave going to pull it free. That one's massive, but it's not going to be enough to save the game, and Ventair sticks on him like glue, and that means it's going to be the last of the Nexus towers fired away. Ventair still zoning out as here comes Plasma Lemon to try and save the day. No Way, and Broky walking away. Aguirre sticking on Zach.
He gets
the damage knocked into the fountain, but it doesn't matter because No Way will end the game at 23 minutes.
Is that our quickest game of European Masters? It could very well be. Euronics take the aggressive comp. It starts to look a little shaky for the win. Start finding those openings, but Euronics use that. Once they get one fight, they get that mid inhib, they get another, they get the base, they get the win.
That was absolutely fantastic. I'm gobsmacked at how fast they were actually able to end that one. It seemed like an objective game. They were losing out a couple of fights, but when they hit the go switch, For the Win had nothing they could do.
Shyvana has an 100% win rate at European Masters, but
so does Tryndamere. Don't get yourself too excited.
But I'd also like to note that it was because of the objective control. They had those dragons early on. From there, they were able to snowball that into a Rift Herald. They were able to move that around the map, and consistently it was their control over towers. And then finally, once they found the fight, their comp just immediately punishes.
Yeah, it was just a great chasing composition. Like, you looked at it, and what I loved about those fights is that at the moment I thought, oh, you know, maybe For the Win are going to get away, and then just off screen, No Way just falcs into the team and starts dishing the damage out.
And we said, yeah, No Way, consistent, comes back again and helps them out, but also Briuki stepping up.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Well,
we talked about that being important.
Aguirre being a huge net positive, not just because he was on the Shyvana, but because he played it so effectively. I honestly think you give this guy something a little tankier, something that can hop in and still be able to hop out if things get hot. Yep. Fantastic stuff. But I want to know what the experts have to say over here.
Good win coming through from Euronics there. You know, able to bounce it out, pull out the Shyvana.
Yeah.
I bet you feel very happy
I don't think For the Win couldn't bounce it out. Unfortunately, that was the issue with
I think it was a great win, though, for Euronics. I mean, we've seen this before where, yes, they can fall behind a little bit, but they're great at these comeback games.
I'm sorry, fall behind. They were 3K ahead when we were saying that they just lost a fight. For the Win had a good team fight, but they were still behind all game because, again, that objective control.
Here's where it kind of started to turn around, though, because you see that For the Win actually did really well in some of these fights, but you gotta still keep an eye on the gold. The fact that they were still kind of moving ahead, and it took so long for the Win to actually kind of delete them off this, that I didn't really feel that worried.
I mean, there were a low damage comp as well, and then suddenly you brought out the tank buster with the Shyvana as well, and No Way was able to move on to the back line. The fact was, the front line were constantly on the retreat because Aguirre was chunking them out, and then Briuki was able to just chunk people out from a distance.
And you have so much follow-up damage as well. As you're saying, Briuki, you got No Way there as well, who's just wailing away on these tanks as they try to retreat. It's so difficult for the Win to try and put up any sort of strong front line to try and get this out. And you said already, Last Wolf was really your only consistent damage there, and that's not going to win you a fight against all of these big damage potentials.
Yeah, and you could see how quickly that they were being burst out. Orianna attempted a shockwave in some of those fights and died before it went off.
Very, very big play for them. Now, that does give Euronics the 1-1 score here at the European Masters. More wins than Euronics got in the last European Masters.
Redemption for
the redemption arc is there, and you know, Portugal's 0-2 now, so not particularly the position they want to be sitting in.
Yeah, I think they're looking a little worried because they might have a similar performance to what we saw from Kick, who yes, they were in the play-ins and had some wins under their belt, but still ended up falling short.
Surprised twice in drafts too. I think this is the issue, is they haven't really been able to deal with it. The Shyvana wasn't the only win condition, right? But I have a feeling that for the win, we're not expecting a lot of these champions that have been thrown their way.
And I think it's got to be tough for this for this Portuguese lot, because they look strong in two early games. They looked like they were going to be able to take the victory, and both times it's just slipped away from them in those teamfight scenarios.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes down to their comfort as well. That was the kind of comp they're comfortable playing. They're very used to this, Zach. That's why we saw Reativo do so well early on, but specifically countered in the draft. So then, as it scaled into that mid-game, really started to struggle, I think.
There was some uncertainty though with the team. The fact that they swapped back to Reativo after one loss with Koldo tells me that they weren't as invested in this new jungler as we might have thought. And now I'm a little concerned. Like, you make this investment, you pick up not only this player but all these coaching staff from the Mad Lions organization, and now you've kind of gone back to square one with one game left in hand.
Have to be tracking up, but hopefully we can bring up the scores so far and see exactly how all of these teams are sitting in this group, because I wouldn't say it throws a spanner in the works, but you got Turing's on 1-on-1, you've got Euronics on 1-on-1. There's still potential for a little bit of a shift of power within Group D.
Settle it with Shyvana versus Tryndamere 1-on-1. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Turing versus Euronics will become this very hypey match coming into tomorrow as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing which one can pull it out. Both of them, yes, have brought out weird picks, but they've also looked strong in their own ways.
Here's the thing, the Gamers Origin only have to play against for the win, and they should win that based on projections right now, but I feel like they're not the strongest team in this group. Like, I think it's really hard to call.
I agree. I think we saw how close it came with Euronics. And I think we, even talking to Tenaire in the interview, we saw that he was saying that, yes, I think we'll be very good when we're on form. And my worry is, when will that happen? Will it happen before they get knocked out?
Ooh.
Well, we'll have to find out, but we do have an interview lined up here with No Way for you. So, see how he's feeling after that win. No Way, how are you doing, mate?
Hey, feeling really good after that one.
Yeah?
Really nice win, yeah.
I mean, your game yesterday was unfortunately not a win. It was very back and forth. So, I mean, coming into today's game, how was the mentality within the team?
I mean, yesterday we played versus huge favorites, and we got pretty close, so we were quite happy about that one. And we were pretty confident in our chances today. We played a little bit early game, like a little bit more early game focus, tried to get a little bit faster ahead. With rotations and six, getting the turrets, and we could pull it off. So quite happy about that.
Pretty happy. And I suppose like now I believe it's Touring Esports, the only team you're yet to play in your group now, if I remember right. So how are you feeling in your how are you feeling about coming up versus them, and your last match? Do you think you can make it out of your groups and into the playoffs?
I think we have a very good shot. We will give our best. Maybe we can surprise some people again tomorrow with a different draft. And hopefully it's enough, and we go to the quarters.
Well, good luck with that. We will speak to you hopefully in the future if you can get that win under your belt. So thank you very much, No Way.
All right, thanks, guys.
Feeling pretty confident. They're pretty happy with the fact that, they lost their game, but it was so close.
I like the way he's hinted at, we've got more there. I want to see what they bring out.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what are you going to do from... I cannot wait to see what this Euronics
I'm ready.
brings out.
I loved it. I loved it so far. I've loved what they've been able to do, even in their loss, the way they play. It's chaotic, but it's entertaining.
Chaotic but entertaining indeed. But we're going to cut ourselves to a quick break, and when we're back, it'll be Outplayed taking on Ninjas in Pajamas, so don't go anywhere. See you in 5 minutes. Hello and welcome back to the European Masters. My name is J.K. Brain Matthews and I'm joining you here for Game 5 of the day. Is Ninjas in Pyjamas will be taking on Outplayed. Ninjas in Pyjamas currently 2-0 in their groups and looking to take first seed in Group A.
That they are. NIP are, like, I was trying to, like, write all my notes. I'm just like, they are really strong. That's mostly kind of what I'm writing down at this point, because NIP have completely affected the comeback when we were starting to doubt them from the play-in stage performance.
Yeah, I definitely think they've come in much cleaner. I think they are starting to now pull that Illuminar that we talked about before, stumbling at the start of the European Masters and then starting to show up strong. I will also double down on the fact that I do think they're by far the stronger Nordic team now coming into this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they just look more controlled. I think Atlantis has had, you know, some kind of really back and forth games, so you got to definitely hand it off to NIP for being able to control the chaos.
To be fair as well, though, I think it's kind of hard to judge Atlantis at the same time because they keep going for this weird strategy. It'll be interesting to see how they do go up in, you know, just a straight up 5v5. That is how they won the Nordic Championship, so maybe if we see them move away from these strategies and just go for standard play, they might surprise us.
Well, let's have a little look at their opponents. That'll be Team Outplayed starting out on the blue side. In the top lane, it's Wazor, Demon in the jungle, Dr. Matt as the mid laner, Bullet and Briz as the bot lane duo.
And so far, I mean, these guys have had one super messy game that they managed to come out on top of. They'll be happy with that, but they'll want to now try to improve on that, try to have a better showing for Italy, who've, I mean, last EU Masters, they didn't have a single win. They've already improved on that. See if they can now show up against NIP, who are looking so dominant.
And that win was against Isuba, who have gone 0-3 in this group. So right now, that was kind of like your first test. That's your first gym leader. Now you got to go up against the type that your starter's weak against.
I think they just finished that entire Pokemon game. But
yeah, I think they just skipped the Elite Four right here.
I mean, they're going up against the Elite 5, man. NIP are going to be tough.
Well, speaking of NIP, let's have a little look at that team who are 2-0 on the score. Doxy in the top lane, Maxi in the jungle, Larson is the mid laner, XT Smiley and Heaver is the bot lane duo.
I mean, the Elite 5 right here. I think it is Larson specifically as well on this mid lane. Has looked so strong, is willing to bring out all kinds of picks and is willing to blind pick even the Kassadin.
And I'm looking at XT Smiley as well, though, who has stepped up. I mean, this guy has been absolutely phenomenal, particularly as we've seen him move into that group stages. I'd 100% agree, play-ins was the Larson show, but I think we got to look at this guy and give him his due as well.
Well, if you wanted to change what the show was, I'd be calling it Hiva, because he had absolutely stellar performances. You saw that Shen effectively carried them through their first game of groups, and then moving forward has consistently been that important support for his team.
I mean, he smashed Illuminar with that Shen.
Yeah.
Multiple free-man engages, the flash taunts. Like, Heaver's just been very consistent across most of the boards. I give him a little bit of slack for that Alistair play in the Baron Pit, but like he's completely undone that and completely redeemed himself because he's just been such a good support.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything you can take away from this NIP side. I'm worried if there is any angle that can be attacked here by Outplayed. We'll have to see. Maybe the team captain Briz can pull some magic out of his hat.
Maybe Outplayed is about to just turn this whole game into this giant turtle stall because their defensive wards are great.
We saw that before.
That's my point. Their defensive warding is quite good. Yes, this was against Isuba of Soon's gone 0-3, but they're able to hold on quite well. It's all about whether NIP allow them to.
Well, we're into picks and bans. Varus will be the first ban, taking that away from XT Smiley. A champion we've seen a fair amount play so far, following up by the Urgot, coming through from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Nothing too exciting, nothing too surprising yet.
Yeah, it'll be more interesting to see if the Alistair manages to get through. That's kind of the big one for me in this situation. Particularly, I know we were talking Hiva, misplay, whatever. This guy is still fantastic on these engaged supports, and I don't want to see him get his hands on something like that.
And we see Graves banned against Maxi once again. A lot of people not wanting to face up against the aggression that NIP can bring out from that jungle role as well.
Follow up with the Skarner ban. That's another champion he played during the group stages. Now the Akali actually banned on blue side here by Outplayed.
I was actually going to note the Skarner ban was by NIP. That means Maxi does want to lean towards a carry style because Skarner's so good at shutting those carries down, especially early on, forces them to buy that QSS.
Well, seeing all the bans, time to see what gets picked up. Alistair's been left open. The Braum has been left open. Two champions who we've seen so hotly contested throughout this entire stage so far.
You've got to take this away from Eva. I think it makes a lot of sense right here. It's pretty stock standard and Outplayed. They can do far.
NIP could just go the Zyra Khan though, if they really want.
Zyra Khan or not quite Braum Varus, but Braum Kaisa.
I think if you take the Braum here as well, it does open you up for that Ornn pick later on, which has worked pretty well for them, and Doxy playing that tank style has worked incredibly well for them as well. I wouldn't mind even seeing maybe the Camille in the jungle. We saw that Outplayed can struggle against these early aggressive junglers, and a Camille that can get these level 2 ganks down can work really well.
All right, so that's going to be a pretty standard pickup, though, for Maxi. We've got ourselves a Gragas lock in. So they're not really fussed about the bot lane just yet.
Technically, it could be flexed here, but yes, I would expect that to be the jungle. Gragas coming out for Maxi. A little disappointing. I was hoping them to lean to more carry style, but I think banning the Skarner and banning the Zillion, that also tells me that they're trying to remove some of the things that can unnecessarily delay games that you have to kind of wait out almost.
Ninjas in Pajamas, typical Bloomigan style, just sitting down, thinking about everything before they lock it in.
I can't believe they're thinking about their picks, Hipray.
Wow, I know,
but longer than all the other teams. That is the key.
They do have a lot of thought that goes into their picks and bans. It's always very delayed, last-second lock-ins, but it feels like they just have they use as much time to discuss what they want. And they are going to take the Gragas Braum, but outplayed pick up the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, and the Kai'Sa was we were talking about that, but effectively being second to the Varus in terms of priority. Could see the Tristana going over, which is generally that third AD carry we see teams go for.
And works really well with the Braum as well, because you can follow up so effectively if that concussive blows does start to gain up. I think that is going to be your last pick here. I would be afraid to leave ADCs until the next pick, because you can see Tristana or something like Xayah banned away, but it looks like they're going to be hovering that Xayah pick for the moment anyway.
Okay, so Xayah Braum, up until this point, it's pretty much been as standard as we could possibly get in the European Masters, with the Alistar, the Braum, the Kai'Sa, the Sejuani, the Gragas. Like, all these things have been pretty much featuring in more often than not games.
I'm glad we're seeing more Xayah, though.
Yeah.
That does indicate to me they're much stronger in the mid-game. They don't need to wait for Tristana to scale up, I should say. Because they're able to push forward, follow up with the feathers. You've got a lot of earlier damage coming out from Xayah.
I think you can just ban away junglers right now if you're outplayed. Get rid of that, get rid of the Trundle, and get rid of other stuff, because as you were saying, that Gragas could be flexed around a bit if they want to go for that.
If you get, yeah, I mean, they could technically flex it. The bigger issue then turns into, does Maxi just lean the Olaf if you ban the Trundle? I think NIP can still win out the jungle matchup, and I still expect Maxi to take the Gragas, even though I would love to see him on a carry, but NIP still with a lot to play for.
Interesting. So focused on the mid lane here, they're actually trying to ban champions against Larson. The LeBlanc is taken away. I wonder if the Kassadin's next.
I mean,
feels fair.
The Fizz has that
Yeah.
in his back pocket. We even saw him on the Akali looking very good. A couple of picks that Larson can really go for, but...
Well, Akali is, of course, banned, but I think
Yes.
there's a lot of these
Yes,
assassins that Larson has shown up on are starting to be banned away, but there's still plenty left up. For example, Larson hasn't brought out the Aurelia yet, but I'm sure it's perfectly good for him here.
That's going to be the Talon taken away from Dr. Matt. Did see it today, get a win earlier on. I believe that was the second game of the day, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was, yeah, where we saw that Team Atlantis brought it out to try and get
some more chaos in that one for sure, yeah. Interesting choice. So a lot of focus on the mid lane here as it continues, but a lot of different picks. I feel like if you're outplayed and you want to focus on banning away champions from Larson, you have to go with the Kassadin here.
That would be the one that I'd be looking at anyway, is just get rid of that last one. But looks like they're going to get rid of the Cassiopeia, but we're still 99% certain going to get this last pick for Larson. Anyway, he's going to get a counter pick.
He has locked the Kassadin at this stage before, though.
Yeah, that's why I'm 99%. 100%.
Okay, leaving a little bit of room for error.
Yeah.
I mean, you've still got the Cho'Gath, the Scion, the Ornn for topside as well, so...
We talked about how the Ornn would be quite good as well, because you have that Braum to go with it.
See what they do decide to go for. Going to actually go for the Scion from Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, I mean, this draft's already been fairly standard the whole way down. Why not just take the Scion? It's been that blind pick top laner, and it makes the most sense in this scenario.
Now, do you favor the Cho'Gath or the Ornn in this situation if you're Visor?
You can't Ornn into Braum. I think it would be a dreadful decision.
Oh, that's a good
so
point.
You have
I forgot
to
about
go
the
to
Braum.
Cho'Gath.
Yeah. Okay. Question answered.
I think the Cho'Gath would work here, particularly when you've already got your big engage tools there with the Alistar. You got the Sejuani as well. You provide a little bit extra for the Kai'Sa, and that's going to be the Malzahar in the mid lane.
Just trying to deny any assassin potential that might come out from Larson. I think that's the worry here. You want to go for Fizz? Fine. I'll just make sure he doesn't do anything for a bit, but I don't think Larson's going to be too perturbed by this. He's played Kassadin into this before.
Players have tried to play a neutralized the Larson role for a while. Now this is something that would really shake things up, and this is something that we've seen Visor play before, but instead, as the timer ticks down, we get an Aggressivu special.
Okay, Wazor bringing out the Jarvan. I think that's fine in this matchup as well. It's not one he'll be heavily punished in, but Larson is the counter pick. And he's just trying to rack up some of the champions we haven't seen before, potentially, or is he going to go stock standard?
A lot of lockdown for outplayed right now, though. I mean, you've got that Jarvan with the Cataclysm. Now you've got the ultimate from the Malzahar to lock you in place as well with the Nether Grasp. I think there's a lot there that just means that NIP can't play to the strengths that they want, particularly if they are going to go for the Xayah pretty immobile. Yes, she's got the Featherstorm, but she's going to be stuck in there. And if you've gone for a Cassidy, or I was going to say another assassin that's trying to get involved in these big team fights, the second you go in, you're just shut down.
Yeah, I mean, the Cassidy, I think I was really not doubting for a second that Larson was going to pick that one up. He was hovering for a long time on the Syndra. I'm like, you're not going to take the Syndra. You're not going to take the Syndra into the Malzahar. No, Larson, you're not going to do that. And then, of course, yeah, so they go for this. This is like the most Bloomigan draft ever.
This is also just a great meta draft. I think there's nothing particularly standout here. Yes, some people would say Cassidy is, but also Cassidy is something that has floated back into meta this patch. I think 817 with those buffs, he's very good to pick up even if you're not like just a Cassidy main as such. And
it's the scaling of the fleet footwork as well, which is really good for him. What with the great AP scaling gives you just a little bit more lane sustain, gives you a little bit more maneuverability, that pre-6 where you can auto-attack the minion, get a bit of health back and just run around and just dodge stuff. So it's going to be quite good for him.
And if I'm a Ninjas in Pajamas, why would I bring anything out that isn't bog standard? I mean, it makes sense. I'm already up to wins in this group. I don't really need to show my cards. I can just play the standard. You all think that this is all I can do, and I've got all my picks that are left behind that you don't really understand that we can bring.
Yeah, and if you're coming in with NIP and you have some confidence, you're going, I don't want to show anything pre-playoffs. Exactly. You're saying you can win this group going standard and then later on have even more picks to show.
So where are we watching in this game? What players, what champions are we most excited about? What's going to be our point of interest, especially in this early game?
It's Larson on Cassidy. I mean, it has to be. This guy has proven time and time again how strong he can be in this champion, and it really is going to be a case of can Malzahar contain him, because he's shown he can take over games if given the opportunity.
Whereas if I'm an outplayed side, I'm looking at Wazor. You just locked in this Jarvan. Show up on it. You got to make these roams work, especially you should be going towards that Cassidy. Make this roam down towards the mid lane and try to punish Larson pre-6 if possible.
That's what I was going to say. Why not both? You can watch the mid lane because Wazor should be making those roams down. I expect once the level 6 hits, Sejuani should be doing the same thing. So Larson, he's going to be put in that familiar situation where everyone's going to be in his lane.
I feel like there's a little bit of a caveat on this though. We do have to see some action in the bot lane. If you let that Kai'Sa just scale up and get to that late game stages where she's hitting 4 to 5 items, that will become a big issue. And we already talked about outplayed and how well they can stall out the game. That could be their game plan here.
I would agree were she not against a late game Cassidy. I think Larson would just destroy her at that point, and that's where you see Kai'Sa struggle when they're the ones being engaged on. They're forced to kill her instinct defensively. They've no way to re-engage fights, and they're just constantly trying to run away. They then just get picked off.
Well, I want to have a little run down the line here this time before we get cut off. So, Ghosty, take it away. Who are you putting your money behind in this game?
Look, Ninjas in Pajamas have shown up time and time again in group stages, and it's hard to argue with a track record like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against NIP here. I think Outplayed, I enjoy what they've brought out, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, Outplayed, they're new entrants here. They're kind of coming in young. I like that they pick up the daughter of Cassidy, and they're going to be going into that late game pretty excited to be taking those fights, but I got to give it Big Daddy Larson and NIP. They're going to take this win and go 3-0 in the group.
You're saying Big Daddy Larson, and all I'm remembering is your joke for bring your daughter to the hunt day.
It's on the
opposite side, yeah.
So it's bring your daughter to work day when you play as the Cassidy, and you have a Kai'Sa on your team. But we'll have to find out because it's time to go into game. So Celtic Tiger and Pyrotechnics, take it away.
Bring your daughter to the hunt day. Okay, cool. Tig, Outplayed. They looked pretty good in their stall-out game, but NIP are a very different type of team, and they are looking to go 3-0 to take Group A in style.
And sorry, I'd like to bring that point back a little bit, because saying they look good is probably a little unfair. They looked like they could stall out well, but not necessarily clean League of Legends that you'd expect from teams of this caliber.
It's not clean. It's definitely not clean.
No, exactly.
I think Outplayed, if they can level up a little bit, they had their first test on the European Master stage. Remember, they had not gotten representation, at least not for their team, in the EU Masters before. That was actually a spot taken by Team Forge, who they beat en route to this tournament. If Outplayed can show up here, they've already got one win on the board. If they take down NIP, I mean, that's a game changer.
I mean, literally, even if they lose this, they've still out-represented Team Forge, so give them some credit here.
They've Outplayed,
yeah,
as well.
I mean, that's how they got this far.
A few more of those until I'm completely cut off.
Okay.
All right, the level 1. Looks like there might be some shenanigans on the rise. Ooh, Larson next.
Ooh, that gold advantage.
Already starting for NIP.
Broken.
This is great.
Well, I mean, you can just FF right now. Larson with the lead.
10 gold extra. Thank you, observers. Actually, Smiley and Maxi actually going to go for an early invade. Briz and Bullet will spot this one out, but the question is, can they stop it?
Braum level 1 is so strong. You have to respect that if you're coming in as Outplayed here.
Hiva, though, taking a little bit of extra damage, and the red buff still aggroed on. It means a flash forward, and the knockup looks like they go for Hiva. In comes Dr. Matt there. Some Malefic Visions at level 1, even Larson coming through. A lot of summoner spells blown, but nobody goes down, and the game state stays even.
Technically, they could have flashed forward there for Dr. Matt. I think they would have picked it up.
Round 2, fight. No? Okay.
Okay, round 2, disengage.
The red buff doesn't get the message.
Round 3?
Maybe?
We don't know. Hiva's going a little
This
far
is the
forward
worst
there.
game of Mortal Kombat ever.
But now, no, it is Maxi. He's looking for round 4.
Here's the thing, though. Like, you get this. Larson goes back to lane, instantly farms the wave, and Dr. Matt is, like, actually just going to have to catch that. So we already see there's some more shenanigans as Larson and Maxi are right back at it, and here comes Demon.
It's going to be a smite. It's got to be 50-50 here.
Test your smite. Okay, that's what we were looking at. Uh-oh, Maxi, got to be careful. This is
Should be Demon who has it with the Eve smite. Oh, no! No! Miscalculation left it on 53 HP. Maxi gets it for free.
Oh, my word. That was some quick maths. Nicely done, Maxi.
Yeah, quick maths. I think it was a failure to quick maths on Demon's side, and that's...
Not quick enough.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the first 3 minutes of the game.
I mean,
played League of Legends yet, Tyg?
All I'll say is I've never seen a Kassadin have so much pressure in the early jungle.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And Maxi's right back. Maxi's living in the outplayed jungle right now.
Yeah, I mean, he just clears off these. Should try make sure that Demon doesn't